Hi, everybody. I'm Skylar Zander, the State Director for Americans for Prosperity in Florida. Sorry, I am not Tim Phillips, but I promise we have just as much star power here with us today. We have Akash Chogli, our Vice President of Economic Opportunity, with us. And then, of course, we have my favorite senator, the senator from the great state of Florida, our former governor as well, Rick Scott. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's great to be with you, and I hope Tim's doing well, and I know you always do a great job.
Thank you, Senator. Akash, I'm going to turn it over to you to ask our first question.
Sure. Thanks, Skylar. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, a busy time on Capitol Hill. So let's start there. Americans have heard a lot about what's been going on with these infrastructure packages and debates. And yet last night, the first actual vote was held without any kind of legislative text that the American people have seen. And so what has transpired over the last few weeks? How did we get here? And what does what happened last night mean for the American people?
Well, I think you should be pretty disappointed, first off. So last night we took a vote to proceed on a bill that we've never seen the text on. So just stop and think about that. We had all these senators vote for a bill they've never seen. That's number one. Number two, it's the first part of a two-part bill. So this one supposedly is something they say people like, which is infrastructure, which we all do, right? Well, first off, on that part of the bill, which is $1.2 trillion, we don't know how it's going to get paid for. We don't have a Congressional Budget Office analysis to see how it's going to get paid for. We have nothing on it. We don't have the text. Don't know what the costs are going to be. Don't know if what they're saying how they're going to pay for it. We have no idea. But we voted. The Senate voted to proceed. I didn't. Then number two is the Democrats have been clear. Chuck Schumer today was very clear. Pelosi's been clear that these bills are tied together, meaning the 1.2 trillion that says it's for so-called infrastructure, plus the 5.5 trillion that's for a bunch of other liberal wish lists. So we don't know the text. We still haven't seen the text. Number two, we don't know what the cost is going to be. We don't know how it's going to get paid for. And it's clear it's just part of helping the Democrats get the $5.5 trillion bill done. So I'm for infrastructure. I spent $85 billion of your tax dollars in Florida for infrastructure, but we did it responsibly. We cut taxes 100 times and we paid down debt. That's not what's happening up here.
It sounds like this is a down payment on Bernie Sanders' wish list, essentially, Senator. A lot of your opponents, like you said, are going to say that they voted in support of more bridges, better roads. What would you classify what they're supporting? And how do you plan on going back to Florida and telling people whose cost of everyday goods are rising that their U.S. senators let them down, other than yourself, of course?
Well, Skylar, as you just said, think what's happening to inflation. Inflation happens because of reckless government spending. So price of gas is up over 50% in a year. Used cars up over 40% in a year. Milk's up, bread's up, meat's up. Everything's up, right? And it's caused by reckless government spending. So, when they pass the second part of this bill, the tax increases they're going to have to do, it's trillions of dollars. It's going to come out of your pocket. They said, oh, maybe part of it's going to come out of a corporation. Well, if it's a company, it's going to come out of fewer wages for the employees, right? Or they're going to pay less for supplies. I mean, somehow, are they going to raise their prices? So that's out of your pocket. So, first off, I don't understand how anybody could vote for this because they're voting for a tax increase on their citizens. That's not going to be popular as this goes forward. So it doesn't make any sense. And we don't know all what's in it. Supposedly in the first part of the bill, it's roads, bridges, airports, seaports, and broadband. All right. It also, we're worried that part of it is going to have rate regulation for things, which is going to cause prices to go up, not go down. So we just don't know enough about it, but we know that it'll be like you said, everything that Bernie Sanders ever campaigned on, everything he ever wanted, he and Elizabeth Warren, it's in this bill.
Senator, you touched on the various ways that they're claiming this is going to be paid for, but we don't actually have any real data from the Congressional Budget Office. And you would think a bill of this size, we would have some kind of official scorekeeping. What can you tell us about how they claim that this particular infrastructure package is being paid for. It seems very gimmicky, and it seems like it might not actually be fully paid for. And of course, money isn't free. So what can you tell us about what you should know, what the American people should know about the vote that was taken last night, and how much, if at all, it's paid for?
So think about it this way. First off, it's a $1.2 trillion bill. Even what they said it's paid for is a little over $500 billion, right? And there's gimmicks, like they're saying, well, economic growth is going to help pay for it. What's that mean, right? Now, they're saying that, how I remember when I campaigned in 2010, my opponent said he'd never voted for tax increases. I said, yeah, but you voted for fee increases, over 22 times or something like that. That fee increases is out of your pocket. Somebody pays for this, right? It's not, a fee increase is not free. You pay for it. Consumers ultimately pay for these fees because they get passed on to consumers. So they're talking about a variety of fees and postponing some things, but there are things that the CBO, I haven't seen any report the CBO says any of these things they're realistic. One thing I asked at lunch the other day, I said, well, why don't we do this? If it's such a good idea and we're comfortable that we're going to collect this money, let's not spend the money until we collect it. No, they didn't like that part. No, they said, well, no, we want to spend the money whether we collect the money or not. I mean, you can't do this with your family, right? You can't, you can say, I'd like to buy that house, but you know that you can't buy the house unless you make the money to buy it. You can't buy that car unless you're willing to pay for it. So we should not be spending money up here unless we're willing to pay for it. And we're willing to tell people that how we're going to tax them or fee them to pay for it. And that's not what's happening. It's not fair to the American citizen.
That's exactly right. And you touched on a couple other things, right? It can also either be paid for through taxes, borrowing money, printing money, which, as you mentioned, is driving inflation. Sorry, go ahead, Skylar.
No, Senator, I'm not the smartest guy around, but I can tell you, I don't know a lot of Floridians or a lot of Americans who would be excited about the idea of a handshake between politicians is how a bill is going to get done. That's a really scary thought, especially when you're talking about trillions of dollars. But one of the things we haven't touched on, Senator, is you have a great record when it comes to supporting energy and the free market here in Florida. I mean, this bill supposedly, obviously we don't know exactly what's in it, has a lot of Green New Deal projects in it. I mean, you're talking billions of dollars for EVs and other things. What have you heard as far as, what might be included from non-traditional infrastructure that might be in this bill?
Oh yeah, it's going to have every green new idea there is out there. And by the way, think about this for a second. Why are we giving tax breaks to the richest Americans? So if you look at the tax credit we're given for electric vehicles, half of it goes to people making over $75,000 a year. I mean, do they need tax credits? I mean, I thought what government was supposed to do is we should create safety nets for people that need it, but we shouldn't be redistributing wealth. And if we're going to redistribute it, we shouldn't be redistributing wealth to the richest. I mean, if you think about everything they're doing, it's whether it's reckless spending. And by the way, in 2 days, our debt ceiling, there's supposed to be a vote on the debt ceiling. There's not going to be a vote. They're just going to wait and see if the Biden administration can do some extraordinary measures, because they don't want to have to vote to raise the debt ceiling, because they know the public is fed up. We're at almost $30 trillion worth of debt, and so I mean, it's like up here. What's happening is politicians keep passing the buck. They don't want to take responsibility. We have to live within our means. It is your money. We need to. I did this as governor. We paid off a third estate debt because I said, I'm not going to waste your money. That's what every politician should say. If I'm going to go say we're going to buy something with your tax dollars, I should be willing to tell you how I'm going to take your tax dollars and pay for it. They don't want to do that up here.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so where do we go from here, Senator? You mentioned the Sanders package, and I'm glad you used the honest number where, they're saying it's $3.5 trillion. It's actually more like $5.5 trillion. So appreciate you letting the American people know that. So Senate procedure is obviously very confusing. Where do we go from here with this $1.5 trillion proposal and then the Sanders $5.5 trillion? We've been told they're kind of tied together. What should we be keeping an eye out for as far as what's next?
Well, Schumer said this is the first of the second step. So the second step will not happen, but for the people that support the first one. All right, the so-called infrastructure bill, which is a whole bunch of liberal priorities in that. So so what's going to happen over the next few days is we'll have a lot of procedural votes, and so the public can call your House member, call your Senate member, and make sure. Now, this vote's going to be in the Senate right now, but let them know what you think. Should politicians be voting for bills they've never read? I don't think they should. Should they be voting for bills that they don't know how they're going to get paid for? They shouldn't. Should they be honest with you as a taxpayer of what's going to happen to your taxes? They should. Should we create a bunch of new social programs and all this liberal wish list? I don't believe that's what where the American public is. So call your senators and let them know what you think. They can make a difference. We're going to have a lot of votes on this over the next few days, and then after that, we're going to have a vote on starting the $5.5 trillion bill. So let all your senators know what you think.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And those who are listening and watching now, below in the comment section, you're going to have the opportunity to engage with your U.S. Senator either through filling out what we call an I volunteer link or by calling the Capitol switchboard with the phone number below. Senator, thank you so much. Thank you for always being a fiscal hawk and making sure that we're keeping not only our debt in control, but trying to get our spending under control and back on place. We appreciate you joining us. Everybody who's watching, we appreciate you joining us as well, and we hope to see everybody soon. Take care.
Take care. Thanks for doing this.